Good evening, all. Good evening. Welcome back to another off label session. I'm really excited for today because it's a topic that I absolutely believe in. Believe, get it, believe. That's what we're talking about today. I'm going to wait a little bit and wait to see who we're going to have join us today. You already know the deal. Please do make sure that you are sending in your greetings. I love to see who is online with me. So please do let me know who is online. So I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. I believe it's going to be a very fruitful conversation. Um, so I'm looking forward to it a lot. So I'll give it maybe 2 minutes and then I'm going to kick off the conversation. I'm going to get us really ending this stream determined and ready to make a difference because you know that's what we're all about here at the Guild community. We sincerely believe in being change makers. And so I'm just excited for today's conversation. I believe that it's going to be very fruitful. I believe it's going to be very beneficial, especially if you're somebody who is tired of the norm, especially if you're somebody who wants to break the mold, who wants to do something different. Perhaps you've been in healthcare for years and years, you've been in healthcare for tens of years, and you've just decided that you're tired of the monotony of work. And you actually believe that with the skills that you have and the heart that you have. Remember last week's live stream, we spoke about heart and skill and how when we pair heart with skill, we can really make a huge difference. And we were talking last week about the fact that sometimes we have the skill, we have the knowledge, and we use the knowledge to get us through our jobs. We use the knowledge to get us through our 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. shift. We use the knowledge to help patients. But when we add heart with the skill that we have and we actually decide that we actually want to make a difference, it takes us very far. And then again, we had our guest last week, Chibs, our cardiac physiologist, and it was quite important that he spoke to us last week because he is the heart man. And we were talking about heart and skill, but he was also making mention to say that, hey, you can have heart, but if you don't have skill, then how do you apply the heart that you have? So we then concluded on last week's episode that actually you need both heart and skill to be effective. But we were also raising a point that if you have heart enough to make a change, if you have heart enough to be impactful, you will begin to develop or lead yourself to develop the necessary skills to have the relevant impact. So last week's conversation was so insightful. It was so invigorating and empowering. But I want to know who's online with me today. I want to know who is joining me today so that we can get kick started with today's conversation. Again, as I mentioned, I'm so excited about today's conversation. So let's go, let's go. So let's see who's online with me today. Give me a wave, say hello, and let's kick it off from there. So today we're going to be talking about belief. And the reason why I felt like talking about belief is because if we're saying, and you know, the core of the guild, our messaging is to raise the next generation of healthcare leaders. What does that look like? We want to be the group of people that can empower those in the healthcare space to be change makers, to be solution providers, to be leaders in that space. So why do we need to talk about belief? Because if anything is going to stop you from being impactful in your industry, being impactful in your workplace, let's say, being impactful in your area of expertise, is going to be lacking belief. So, you know, what exactly is the biggest thing that holds us back as healthcare professionals? The question would be, is it lack of opportunity? Is it lack of skill? We spoke about that last week. Or is it lack of belief? Because guess what, guys? Even though opportunities may not be there or may be there, In fact, let's even look at a case study where belief is actually there. Or sorry, if opportunity is not there. Let's actually look at that. If opportunity isn't there, but you believe enough, you will create opportunity. Did you hear what I said? If opportunity is not available, but you believe in something so deeply, you will create that opportunity for yourself. So actually, the case, what holds healthcare professionals back is not the lack of belief, but actually, so it's not the lack of opportunity, it's the lack of belief. Is it the lack of skill? No, because most of us went to university to qualify. Hi, everyone. Hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much for joining. It's not the lack of skill, because a lot of us have skill. We went to university, we developed the skills that we needed to be relevant in our respective industries. So, what is now going to stop you from being able to use your skill to impact the world is, of course, a lack of belief. So, that's why I felt it's so important to speak about belief. So, most people don't fail because they can't, but they actually fail because they never believed that they could. So, what do I mean by that? Because most of the innovations and creations that we've seen, I don't necessarily think that somebody knew at that time that they could do it, but they believed in themselves so much that they made it happen. You look at the Wright brothers, again, they're not healthcare professionals per se, but I will come into some case studies. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Blessing. You're my biggest fan. I'm so happy to always have you online. Thank you so much for joining. Um, Please tell the rest of the team to join on and comment, because this is our conversation. So please help me put a message in our various group chats to let everybody know to join and be commenting. I'll really appreciate if you can do that. But if you look at the Wright brothers, they believed, or they observed nature, they saw that birds could fly, and they believed wholeheartedly that they too could fly. Like, you can imagine, before the times of planes, nobody had ventured into the skies, but you had two brothers who wholeheartedly believed that they could fly. Now, did they understand how this would happen? No. But belief caused them to build up the necessary skills. It caused them to create opportunity to make that thing happen. In fact, they had loads of naysayers say that they can't create planes. But what did they do? They believed. So where people told them that they could not, they were telling themselves that they could. And what happened? They are now the pioneers of what we now use to travel across the world. I'm British, that's probably why I have a great accent. So most people don't actually fail because they cannot. They fail because they lack the belief that they can. And when you put yourself in the mindset of can, you will realize that there's actually a lot of things that you can achieve. I look at myself as a healthcare professional. Again, I am a pharmacist. I've been so for 10 years. Hello, Faith. Lovely to have you on. Lovely to have you on. I look at myself as a healthcare professional, and I remember I came to a point in my career where I felt like, is this it? Is this all that I can amount to be? And I looked at prescribing, and I was just thinking, I have to go back to uni. I'm gonna have to do my course alongside work. I was just thinking all types of impossibilities. But one thing that's always got me through is the fact that I I just think to myself, if somebody's gone before me and done it, why can't I? If somebody's actually been able to qualify as a prescriber, why can't I? And I think that's why we set up the guild community, because we are the group of people who surround each other and tell each other that you can. So if I look at a Faith and she's saying that she wants to, and my friend Faith, she's amazing, by the way, she's setting up an amazing system right now that's going to blow, it's just going to blow the social care nursing industry out of the water, right? And I'm sure she's come across several bottlenecks. I'm sure she's come across several difficult times. I've been with her throughout the journey, and there's been loads of stop, start moments. But what causes her to keep pushing is that she has a community that can actually tell her that she can. Because you see, you might come across times when you yourself cannot convince yourself enough that you can. But you have a community, you have a people around you that can motivate you to tell you that you can. I'm going way ahead of myself, yeah. But I just saw my people online and I just thought, let me just, give them a shout out. But belief is essentially confidence before existence. So you might be looking at yourself and you know in your heart that you're supposed to change. Let's say if you're a doctor, you're supposed to change the way that um, doctors work in A&E, for example. Experience of A&E about 2 weeks ago was awful. Um, but you're an A&E doctor, for example, or an A&E nurse, and you're just seeing that this is not right. The way that we're triaging patients, the way that patients don't have enough beds, the way you're just looking at a problem and you're just thinking, I know that it's within me to solve the problem, but guess what? Belief is actually you identifying that you can be the solution to the problem, even though the resolution doesn't yet exist. That's belief. Because guess what? If you believe enough, you will create the solution and the solution will exist. But before the solution can even exist, you actually have to believe. So belief is actually confidence before existence. Belief is acting before certainty. Many people who have created innovative things, they first acted before they were sure about whether the thing's going to work or not. That's the beauty of these things. Those who went to space, ladies and gentlemen, going to space is no mean feat. Space, as in you're leaving the, the Earth's atmosphere to go beyond it. Who could have fathomed that men could go to space and not only go to space, but come back? They were able to act before they actually had certainty. I mean, because who could tell what would happen once that rocket lifted off? Who could tell what would happen? We didn't know, but guess what? They had believed so much in that project that they set that rocket into this into the atmosphere and it worked. That's what belief does. Belief causes you to move even when you're not certain. Again, what is belief? Belief is backing yourself even when others do not. Because guess what? Naturally, people will see the limitation in something that you believe in. It's not everything that others can see that you can see. You might be able to see that, hey, we can actually change this thing that we're seeing. But somebody's thinking, yeah, but we've tried it before, nothing works. Or we tried to speak to leadership in the workplace, but they didn't move. But you just believe that I don't care. I'm going to be the person to bring about this change. So sometimes belief will cause you to back yourself even when others do not. So, what are practical examples of this? For example, maybe you might apply for a role that you don't actually fully qualify for, but you just believe that you are the right person for that role. So I remember when I went into ADHD prescribing, I had no experience, guys. I had no experience. But guess what I did? I went in there with a belief because I knew it was a clinical area that I was very interested in, very passionate about. And I showed that in my interview that I can do this. I believe in myself. I believe in the years that I've invested into being a pharmacist and into being a prescriber. I believe. So I was able to have confidence before evidence. I didn't need to show them evidence, or I didn't need evidence of being able to to titrate patients, ADHD patients. I just had belief that I was good enough, quick enough, smart enough to pick it up quickly and learn. And am I not thriving in it today? So what I did was I acted before certainty. That is belief. Because everybody around me can tell me, oh, you don't have experience, you haven't been in mental health before, you are this and you're that and you're this. I just had to shut out the noise. I had to shut out the things that I was reading where people were like, oh, you can't apply for ADHD prescribing without experience. And I just had to shut all that out, believe in myself, back myself before anybody else did. So for example, even in starting a business, maybe you've been working for 20 years, you've been in your industry for 20 years and you're comfortable, that if you go in and you work for 40 hours a week, 4 weeks in the month, you're going to get paid X and Y. But something inside of you is telling you that you can actually start a business that is going to impact lives, that is going to change the trajectory of healthcare. And you're just looking at your circumstances, you're looking at probably the mortgage that you have to pay for, the bills that you have, and you're thinking that how can I take a risk like this? But you believe in yourself so much to the point that you step outside of your comfort zone. You step outside of your comfort zone and you now begin to build that business that is going to change the lives of millions of people. That's belief. Even though you might not have certainty on how life will go, you decide to step out of your boundaries and you just believe. So even as small as speaking at an event, me and some of my team were always speaking at events. But I remember the first time I had to speak at an event, and I was just thinking. In fact, I was hosting the event. It was at uni, and I was just thinking to myself, like, what am I going to say? We're not taught this, Evan. We're not taught this. We're not taught that we can actually believe in something outside of the norm. I remember I was given the opportunity to go and speak, and I was just thinking, I'm not good enough. Like, I'm listen, I'm an extrovert. I can talk. Okay. If you have a conversation with me, I can talk. But to go and stand on stage in front of X amount of people and actually hold the room, I was just like, this is not for me. I can't. But I had to take that bold step. And I've also got this belief of just do it anyway, like face the fear and do it anyway, because what is actually the worst that can happen? Is it that they won't invite me back next week? Okay, fine. But I had to believe that I could actually do this. I could hold a room, I could talk, I could engage people. And it was amazing. It was successful and I had fun. But I wouldn't have known that until I believe. And you know the beautiful thing about belief, and I was telling one of my friends the other day, the beautiful thing about belief is that the more that you believe in yourself, the more that you believe in something, the more belief you have. Am I making sense? So the more you believe in yourself, the more you go out there and you do things, right? Because you believe in yourself, the more belief you'll have to do even bigger things. That's a better way to paraphrase it. So, for example, oh, listen, my friend Chibs is on. Remember, Hartman, our cardiac physiologist, he's on. Chibs has actually started his own company. He spoke about it last week. He's got a diagnostics company. He's a cardiac physiologist. He does ECG interpretations, etc. A normal cardiac physiologist is satisfied with just going and doing a 9 to 5. Um, but I know Chibs personally. I know the battles that had to overcome. And my friends, please permit me to use you as my examples. It is what it is. But um, I know the battles that he's had to overcome, right? But he's had confidence, first of all, in the skills and the experience that he's had, but he's had confidence enough to step away from the confines and the boundaries of a 9 to 5 and is actually using these skills to impact others. He's teaching students, he's teaching healthcare professionals. I've seen him hold his classes. I've seen him speak at events and speak, at conferences, etc., about what he knows. What gives him the boldness to do that is because he's had smaller opportunities to believe in himself. And you heard his story last week. Tibbs did not do well at school. You could go back and watch last week's episode. He didn't do well at school. But guess what? He had to just believe in himself, overcome his difficulties. Highly, oh, finally you're online, highly. He had to believe in himself, believe enough that he could actually be successful in life, regardless of the grades that he got in school. So he's had tests of belief. That's why today, and I'm very grateful that we both have the same support network. We have amazing leaders that keep speaking life over us and keep speaking belief over us to help us to now create these communities to impact others. But he can believe in creating this platform because he's had previous tests of belief. So the more you believe, the more you exercise your belief life, the more you will be able to believe in bigger things. So I want to highlight why exactly belief matters, okay? Because guess what? We often borrow other people's limitations. So you will look at somebody next to you, you're probably really, okay, let's say, for example, right? you've been in a particular career, maybe you're 5 years in, and you're seeing somebody who's 20 years in, and you are borrowing their limitations. Maybe you've come up with an idea. Maybe you want to go for a managerial position, but the workplace has told you that you need to be working for 10 years in this industry before you can become a manager. But you believe that you have the necessary skills, you have the necessary drive and heart to 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 become a manager. But because of the conversation happening around you, what you're going to do is you're going to borrow somebody else's belief, somebody else's limitation, and place it upon yourself. And that will stunt you from being able to go for what you wanted to go for. I hope I'm making sense here. So I just need you to understand that you have to, if you're focused on something, if there's something that you want to achieve, you have to look at it with tunnel vision. You have to look at it acutely so that you don't get sapped into other people's belief system that may not match yours, if that makes sense. So we also underestimate what we're actually capable of. For me, and I have one friend, and he makes me laugh so much because he's always like, "You're a pharmacist." Every time I come to him with a problem, or anytime I come to him, yeah, if I come to him with a problem, or come to him with a situation, he'll say to me, "But you're a pharmacist," and I'm always like, "What does that even mean?" He's like, "Yeah, if you were able to pass pharmacy school and you've gone back to uni, done your prescribing, you're a pharmacist, sort out the problem, solve it." So we actually underestimate what we're capable of. Again, that could be because you're looking around you and you're looking at other people that might have the same skill set as you, and you're looking at what they've been able to achieve or not achieve, and then you're judging yourself based on that. But belief helps you to actually open up a capability that you wouldn't ordinarily have seen, if that makes sense. So if you, again, I'll use the example of starting a business. If you really want to start a business and um, you don't think, oh, I don't have the necessary business skills. I've never seen myself as entrepreneurial. And you start using all these words against yourself. Stop it. Just believe. Because guess what? Whilst you are working your business, you yourself will begin to pick up and learn skills to make yourself successful, to make yourself beneficial. And sometimes what we do is we often talk ourselves out of opportunities before anybody else can. So that's actually the opposite of belief. Because remember that belief, excuse me, belief is actually you backing yourself before others do. But what actually brings us down sometimes is also that same concept. We talk ourselves out of the opportunity before anybody else can. So that's why we're talking about belief today. And that's why we're talking about belief in relation to us being impactful as healthcare professionals. Because it's only when we can believe in a cause, believe in a vision. Because I believe, listen, as the guild community, I wholeheartedly believe that I can be used as a tool to raise the next generation of healthcare leaders. That because people are part of this community, they will be infused enough, they'll be infused enough with belief to actually be change makers in the industry. We see it every day. We see problems every single day as healthcare professionals that we can be in the position to solve, right? So I believe in that. So what does that mean for me? That even if somebody says anything negative about that belief, that vision that that we have as a community, I can't really afford to turn my eyes away from what I'm working on just because of somebody else's limitation. I cannot afford to talk myself outside of this cause and compromise my belief system because I believe that the result of what I'm trying to do will impact many lives. Am I making sense? I'm using myself as a case study here. So the question really is, have you actually ever decided that you weren't good enough before anyone had the chance to? And maybe it's something for you to think about. I mean, if you're able to comment and say yes or no or say why, that's also really brilliant. But have you actually ever convinced yourself that you're not good enough before anybody else did? I want that to sit with you for a moment. I want that to sit with you for a moment. Because if you're able to identify that you've done that before, then that's something that you have to work on. so that when it comes to you actually doing the thing that you believe in your heart to do, you will actually believe in yourself more than others believe in you. So if we look at belief versus reality, okay, so belief isn't pretending, belief isn't it's not made up, right? Belief isn't arrogance either, because sometimes you can believe in something so much, you can have confidence in something so much that people around you start to believe that it's arrogance. Oh, who do you think you are? Why do you think like this? Why do you think that you can be the person to make that change? Words will start coming at you. Words will start coming at you. But the key thing here is to just believe. So don't even feel dismayed. So because sometimes you might believe in something so much and you're like, oh, why am I so like confident about it? Why am I so, don't question that. You've been given that heart to do that thing. Don't question it. Ride with it. Go with it. Belief isn't arrogance. Belief is actually trusting that you can learn what you don't know. So that, remember last week we were talking about heart versus skill. If you believe in something enough, if you have heart for something enough, you will actually adopt or adapt certain skills. You will be able to put yourself in a position of learning to, hi nation girl, Adobe. You will be able to put yourself in certain positions or certain learning environments to upskill yourself in order to do the thing that you believe in. So belief is just trusting that, hey, I may not know this thing today, but I'm going to learn it. I'm going to do it. It's just like, I don't know. Again, I'll use the example of business. Perhaps you don't think that you have business skills. You don't think that you have accounting skills. You don't think, but you just believe that I'm going to make this business work. So therefore, I'm going to learn all the necessary things I need to learn so that I can be effective and successful. You just believe. Good evening. So you don't actually have to be ready, you just have to be willing. And if you're willing enough, you'll be ready. Should I say that again for you? You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be ready. You have to be willing. And if you're willing enough, you will be ready. That's why I want to share with you today. I want you to leave this conversation amped up. I want you to leave this conversation, and I'm going to give you some homework because it's good that we give you homework. Dictate in healthcare. We did it this way, so you must. Yeah, yeah. Change relies on belief in your strength and what feels morally and intrinsically right for you. Exactly. Because again, as healthcare professionals, and I completely believe in clinical guidelines and I believe in all the things that we have to adhere to for the sake of patient safety and also continuity and to ensure that everybody has the same level of care. But there are certain situations that you face as a healthcare professionals that may go out of the confines of those things for the safety of the patient. Patient safety could actually be compromised because of the guidelines, let's say. But because you just believe, I've heard of so many stories, and it's obviously I'm not encouraging recklessness, and I'm not encouraging us stepping outside of clinical guidelines, etc. But there have been situations that I've heard of that people have risked their necks, they've risked their careers, their jobs in saving a life that goes outside of what is expected in the workplace. You know, they've been sued for saving a baby's life, even though the parents didn't want them to use that particular treatment method. But they just believed so much that that child needs help. They believed so much that, listen, this technique will actually save this child's life. They were willing to risk it because they believed. They weren't ready. They just had the will. They just I just love this topic so much. They just were willing and they went for it and they saved that life. So we are in a very rigid industry, I must say. We are in an industry that hasn't caught up yet. That is still, especially in the UK, actually, let me limit it to where I am. We haven't caught up on a lot of things. We haven't caught up on certain innovations. We're still very behind on a lot of things. But guess what? We have the guild community. We have the guild community. So what's the role of community? Because that's quite important. Otherwise, why am I sitting here? And I was saying this earlier that sometimes you're going to come to a place where you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in yourself. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it happens, right? Maybe a a you have a thing that you're working on that is massive, and problems are coming at you left, right, and center. Sometimes somebody's got to believe for you. I had to say that in an American accent because it just sounds way better. Sometimes somebody's got to just believe for you. That's the beauty of community, because community believes in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes. And that's what keeps you going. Many successful people can testify of stories of when they were meant to make very huge decisions and they just couldn't believe enough. They just couldn't see the solution enough. But they had someone who told them, listen, just go for it. Just do it. Just go for it. That's the beauty of community. That's why we need people around us, supportive people, to help us believe when we cannot believe. The people around you, they actually influence your thinking. They make you think that the impossible is impossible. Again, I have to speak about, my community. I'm telling you, my community are absolutely amazing. There are things that I would have never even been able to speak on a live like this. Let me tell you why I'm speaking on a live like this. It's because I have a leader, and she told me, now go and speak to your community, teach your community, tell them that they can be the next generation healthcare leaders, because that's what you are developing yourself into being. I would have never by myself done this. I do speak, I speak in my community, but to actually come on a public live like this and just talk, and I don't know who's watching me, is very scary. But why do I come here every week? Is because somebody injected belief into me, because they could identify that I am a leader, and they could identify that I'm now ready to speak, and they believed in me to the point where I now believe in myself to do this. Thank you, blessing. Thank you. That I believed in myself enough. They believed in me enough for me to now believe in myself. So your environment can either shrink your vision or it can empower it. It can either shrink your vision or it can empower it. Again, even the creation of a group of healthcare professionals that are going to be leaders and change makers in this space wasn't my idea. It was given to me by my father. It was given to me by my leader. He said, gather healthcare professionals and speak to them and show them and tell them that they can actually be great, that they can be great, that they can be leaders, that they're not confined to a 9 to 5, that they can actually be inventors, innovators. They can look at a problem and solve it. He gave that to me and he said, you can do it. Who was I before? I was a pharmacist working normally. I didn't perceive that I could grow a group of healthcare professionals. But somebody injected their belief into me. I was in the right environment that was able to expand vision for me, not shrink it. That's the reason why community is so important. And yes, I am selling you the guild community because I believe in it. So the guild exists because growth happens faster when you surround yourself with like-minded people than on your own. If you want to challenge yourself to think bigger, be around people who are thinking bigger. You will grow quicker, you will grow faster. Me, every day, I'm with my people and we're just thinking on how we can change the healthcare space. We're sitting down, we're talking, we're rubbing minds, we're innovating, we're just believing together that we can be leaders in this space. Join the guild, y'all. Yeah, join the guild. Join the guild. Join the guild. How do you join the guild? Send me a DM. Send me a DM. Um, and yeah, send me a DM. On Instagram, we have the Guild Society. That's Instagram, the Guild Society. Send me a DM there. and join us. That's how you find us. Or you can go on our website, www.theguildcommunity.co.uk, theguildcommunity.co.uk. So again, the guild exists because, listen, in a group, in a group of people that just believe, whose minds are huger, challenging you to think bigger, that's how you will quickly grow. So I'm gonna leave it there because I try and stick to half an hour. But today's been brilliant. Today's been amazing. I actually spoke by myself today because usually I'll have a guest. So I'm quite proud of myself. But thank you so much for joining. I really do appreciate all of you. You're amazing. And I sure hope that we will join each other again and again. If you do want to join me on these streams, if you do want to contribute and you want to hear a particular topic, please do send us a DM. Please do communicate with us. Shoot us a comment when this live goes on the page. Put a comment and let us know what you want to hear about. Let us know what you're doing to impact the healthcare space. But it's been absolutely amazing speaking to all of you, and I can't wait to see you again. Blessing, I'm gonna get you on this thing. In fact, next week, book me in your diary. Once you've done yours, I'm gonna book you into my diary because you have to speak your journey, the people that you're impacting with your platform, Her and Health. It's got to be something that we talk about. In fact, next week is a women's health special, and we're going to talk about it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to you all next week. See you later. Thank you.